When the 369th Infantry Regiment arrived in France in late 1917, the U.S. Army didn't know what to do with them. They were an all-black unit in a segregated military, and American commanders relegated them to manual labor, digging latrines and unloading ships. They had been denied the right to march in their own farewell parade, told that black is not a color of the rainbow. So the American command gave them away, assigning the entire regiment to the French army. It was a decision born of prejudice, but for the men from Harlem, it was a chance to prove what they were made of. And what they proved became a legend. The French equipped them with French weapons, French helmets, and treated them as comrades. They were sent to the front lines, to the grueling trench warfare of World War I. They would stay there for 191 consecutive days, a record for any American unit in the war. They never lost a man to capture, never gave up a foot of ground. They fought with such ferocity that their German adversaries gave them a name born of fear and respect: Kämpfer, Hellfighters. Their French allies called them Men of Bronze. One night, Private Henry Johnson fought off a German raiding party of at least a dozen men, first with his rifle, then with a bolo knife, then with his bare hands, all while suffering 21 different wounds. He saved his fellow soldier and became one of the first Americans to receive France's highest military honor, the Croix de Guerre. The entire regiment would eventually earn that award as a unit. Their regimental band, led by the brilliant musician James Reese Europe, was a sensation. They didn't just boost troop morale, they introduced the sound of jazz to a European continent that had never heard anything like it. They were changing culture with every note. When they returned to New York in 1919, they were greeted as heroes. Hundreds of thousands lined the streets for a massive parade up Fifth Avenue. It seemed for a moment that their valor had purchased them a new kind of respect. But that moment was fleeting. The parade ended, and the men returned to a country still defined by Jim Crow laws and racial violence. The summer of 1919 became known as the Red Summer for the brutal race riots that swept the nation, often targeting black veterans. The men who were heroes in France were once again treated as second-class citizens at home. But they didn't break. Their courage helped fuel the Harlem Renaissance, inspiring a generation of artists and thinkers. Their story of fighting for a democracy abroad that was denied to them at home became a cornerstone of the burgeoning civil rights movement. Yet, for decades, their own country largely forgot them. The official honors came slowly, trickling in long after the men had passed away. Henry Johnson finally received the Medal of Honor in 2015, nearly a century after his act of incredible bravery. And just recently, in 2025, the United States government awarded the Harlem Hellfighters the Congressional Gold Medal, the nation's highest civilian honor. It was a recognition that came a century too late for the men who earned it, but it ensures that the story of the Hellfighters, the men America threw away, who became legends in a foreign army and who returned home to fight a different kind of war for their own freedom, will never be forgotten again.